I'm just a fan, and I'm here today to talk about Jurassic Park 5. And in all seriousness, isn't it weird how I've only ever had one Jurassic Park movie with a number? The first one didn't really have a 1 next to it, it was just Jurassic Park. And then The Lost World was the second one, but it didn't really have a 2. And the third one, that's the one we had with Jurassic Park 3. And then Jurassic Park 4 came out, which they called Jurassic World. And this new fifth one came out, which they called Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I don't even know what's going on over there. So it's kind of weird. And this is actually a reshoot. I even filmed this review for the movie a couple weeks ago, but I was trying to edit it and looking through, and I just stumbled with my words too much and had too many bad edits. And I was like, let's just reshoot the whole review. The super unfortunate thing is, after I filmed the thing, I went and watched my favorite movie reviewers talk about Jurassic Park 5, and they also called it Jurassic Park 5, and I was like, dang it, that was my joke. So, I love those guys, they're the best, but everyone's gonna think that I copied them now. I really didn't, though. I honestly called it Jurassic Park 5 way before I saw their review. I'm just glad we have similar humor. Anyway, I'll talk a bit about it without spoilers for a bit, and then we'll talk about it with spoilers. So here we go. Technically, it's Jurassic World, The Fallen Kingdom, or as I like to call it, Jurassic Park 5, non-spoiler review. We have some problems here. This movie has some very interesting things about it that really make it so weird tonally and character-wise, and one of the things it's almost a spoiler to say it, but I'm going to sort of say it, but things that should happen with characters in movies, especially big movies like this, don't really happen here. We almost get one character moment of actual, like, wow, that's a character with a heart rate there, we could see it change. That almost sort of happens, but then it doesn't. So I don't know. It's a weird hodgepodge of dinosaurs and island blowing up and crazy dinosaur things happening and places you wouldn't expect. But it really isn't like a fantastic movie. It's not even a terrible movie. It's just very weird. One of the issues, this was happening when I was seeing it in the theater, and again, I didn't see it opening night. I went a few nights later, type of thing. I wasn't that excited. I saw Incredibles 2 opening night. Like that was a really excited thing. But this one. I was just like, oh yeah, alright, now's the time to see Jurassic World 2. Anyway, so I was in the theater, and maybe a half hour before the movie was over, I was saying, please end, please end, please end. It's still not ending. So it kept going and going and going, and it was kind of uncomfortable by the end, because it just kept dragging on, and it's like, how could they possibly try to hammer in more things at this point? And it's hard to talk about without spoilers right now, but I really just don't know what was going on with this movie in terms of, I knew it was going on, but just what the creators were going for and why and how it was important and how they thought that was a good idea. So it's kind of some weird stuff. It had a couple comedic moments. I can't even remember right now what the comedy moments were that I liked. I know there were a couple. But it was decent in that way. One of the characters they kind of introduced in this movie, they kind of use him as like the comedic guy, the guy who makes jokes and one-liners, and it was pretty awful in that sense. I mean, every single attempt they had with him to be funny just fell flat on its face really badly, so I don't really know about that type of humor. Some of the other, so I'll say this though, the two main characters, the Bryce Dallas Howard, is that her name? And Chris Pratt's character, whatever his character's name is, they are pretty good actors, and they have pretty good characters in this new Jurassic World universe, if I guess is the word. And they're fun. I like watching them together, so it's kind of funny how at least the main characters are pretty well acted, decently well written, sort of good written, and then the other characters are just so blah, and like a lot of the rest of the story is so blah, and a lot of the acting is so blah. So it's a funny mixture because it's, again, not terrible, not fantastic. There's a few things in there, here and there, that were decently well enough to make it watchable. I don't even know if I would want to watch it again, if that says anything, just because I know what's going to happen, and when you know what's going to happen, it's just like, it's so... I guess I'll say this. if you like watching dinosaurs do dinosaur things and you like islands exploding and volcanic eruptions happening and dinosaurs attacking people or each other or whatever, if you're just so into that, then you're going to get enough of it where you'd like the movie. If it's got to be more about the characters and how they interact and change or grow or things like that, how the dinosaur effect has its effect on humans and how we change like that, those types of things, like in the first Jurassic Park where it was done perfectly, are not so well done here in this movie. It's not a spoiler to say that Jeff Goldblum's in the movie. He was in the trailer. They kind of showed him with a lot more gray hair. He's in like a courtroom looking type thing. He's making some kind of speech. I think in the trailer he says, "Welcome to Jurassic World." It was okay seeing him again. I'm kind of glad they didn't do stupid stuff with his character. The fact that it takes place in the same universe as the Jurassic Park original universe, it makes sense how he might be in the movie or be in a situation where he's talking about dinosaurs to the public, because he would know more than most other people what kind of effect dinosaurs have on humans these days. It's kind of weird we're talking about this as if dinosaurs are totally normal, and yeah, it's dinosaurs and humans, of course, that's how they interact. But anyway, his character was okay. They didn't overdo it. They sort of underdid it, if anything. And I was glad just to see him on the screen in a Jurassic Park movie. The other character that we saw in Jurassic World, who was in Jurassic Park, like the original one, that Henry Wu guy, is that his name? Dr. Henry Wu. He's in the movie again. It's okay what they did with his character. I mean, especially with what they had in Jurassic World. He was in that movie too. And so what they did with his character there sort of feeds into what we see in the newer one, I guess, and it's okay. It's just there's nothing so great about this movie. It's just like it's kind of a mess. Like when you look at it, it's like what even happened here doesn't affect what's going on here. It's just they're both there because those are the beats they need to hit in the movie, and like those are the things that make people excited. Like, wow, it's an island with dinosaurs. Like, that's so exciting. We gotta have that. But the substance in there, it's not solid, if that makes sense. There's no solidity really tying together this movie and making it be like, we know where the characters are, we know where they want to go, we know how they're going to get there, and we're excited to see where they end up. It's just like, it's so weird. It's such a bizarre movie. Having spoilers to talk about it will help a lot. Let's see, do I have anything else to say that are non-spoilers? In terms of, like, other characters, I guess this is a point I can make. Other characters that are in this movie specifically, they were written for this movie, they weren't in any other Jurassic Parks. And there's that one guy with the terrible comedy whose, like, one-liners almost never worked, and he was just kind of a weird character. And there's another new character, a female character, who, she's okay. She's got spunk. I like that. I mean, I guess if you've seen the movie, you probably know, I don't even know her name, but she's the girl who kind of has more biologic or anatomical experience with animals and dinosaurs, apparently, which doesn't make any sense. But she's okay. I mean, they try to give her a lot of spunk and, like, personality and sass, and I like that part about her. It's kind of overdone for some of the comedic things they try to do with it, but in terms of a character, she's like a character. It's pretty cool. And it's sort of cool watching her use her skills and use what she wants to kind of get through situations in the movie. Again, we don't really see a lot of character change with her, as we don't with pretty much anybody else, but at least as a character in this movie, she's fun. And if she's in another one, like after, I'm sure there's going to be a million more Jurassic World movies, I'd be okay with her character coming back, as long as she keeps her personality that I like. So there's that, I guess. Some of the other characters, like the guy in the business suit type people here in this movie, I don't really get them. They kind of confused me. I mean, I guess, so you have your Jurassic Park movie. Think back to the first one. You had Newman from Seinfeld, and you had the guy Dodson. Remember how he's like, Dodson, we got Dodson here. Nobody cares. You know, the Dodson guy and Wayne Knight, that's the actor's name. They're kind of the antagonists in that movie, other than the fact that there's dinosaurs eating humans or, you know, killing humans. So, and we often see antagonists in movies like this, even though they're not the dinosaurs themselves. So I'll say this, the antagonists in this movie just don't really make a lot of sense. I mean, it's so one-dimensional and so basic and so simple. And I won't say what they're doing for the non-spoiler section exactly, but it's like, that's all you got? I mean, we're in 2018, and you had 4 other Jurassic Park movies by now, and this is where we're going with this? This is how we're handling the dinosaur thing? These are the antagonists? It's just like, it's kind of lame, I guess is one word I could use for it. And again, I have this feeling of, wow, this is just kind of lame with what they're doing. And the movie goes on so long, and they try so hard to add on more and more drama and or scenes of dinosaur stuff. And it's just like, end, please end. And that does not happen often, I would say that. There's very, very few movies in the world that I've ever been like, please just stop, please end, please do not go further. And so that's a bad sign to me. The fact that I was legitimately feeling that and thinking those exact words and literally doing this every time it continued, not really the best sign. And again, it's not such a horrible, awful movie, but the way they did it just wasn't there. It wasn't at the quality that it should have been. The writing wasn't as good as it should have been. A couple of things are fine and okay, but that's something you would expect from any big budget movie like this, especially Jurassic Park. I mean, this is Jurassic Park. We've had 4 other movies by now to try to figure out how to do this, and like, if this is what's coming out after that many years and that many movies, I just don't really have a lot of faith in that universe at this point. But I feel like I'm being very negative right now. How about I do this, because I can say a few more positive things and things that I enjoy about the movie with spoilers. So I'm just going to say, let's hop into the spoiler section. I apologize if I'm offending somebody who just loves the movie. And if you haven't seen it, you should still see it. It's definitely worth a watch. And it's mostly entertaining. At least visually, it's pretty fine. I mean, we've seen a lot of dinosaur things by now, but we've never seen dinosaurs in a volcanic eruption or something like that. So it's at least nice visually to see those things. It's kind of a spectacle to some degree. I know every single Jurassic Park movie ends with the Tyrannosaurus Rex doing its big roar thing. I mean, that's kind of like the staple. And at this point, yeah, we've seen that 4 or 5 times already within the movies. But here, even though we see similar things like that, it's still a spectacle. So I still enjoy the fact that they're keeping a little bit of the spirit of original Jurassic Park action like that. So visually it's fine. Worth a watch in that sense. It's worth a watch just to see what happens in the story. And that's all you really need to say. So still watch it. I'm not saying don't watch the movie. And I'm going to go into spoilers now, so don't spoil it for yourself unless you really want to and you're not going to see it. But you really should. And here we go, spoiler time for Jurassic Park 5. So again, going back to the fact that I really enjoy Chris Pratt's character and Bryce Dallas Howard's character, I always feel like I'm going to get that wrong. I enjoy them. They're just pretty good characters. They're pretty well acted. And for the most part, I liked watching them throughout this movie, but they were really the only parts that made it enjoyable. There were some things that just didn't make so much sense. Like, I hate how at the beginning, Bryce Dallas Howard's character is like, oh, we're going to go save the dinosaurs at the island or whatever. And she has to go to Chris Pratt's character and be like, you got to come help me. And he's like, no way. Alright. It's like, it's another one of those we've seen in movies so many times. And it's like, why are they split up? Why are they having to convince each other to do things? Why is she, like, you know, completely involved in this organization to save dinosaurs and he's completely like, disjointed from that? It just seems so weird. And you'd think after everything they went through in the first movie, I mean, you know, Jurassic World, the first movie, and anything they went through before that, because, you know, these characters have known each other. At the beginning of that movie, they still knew each other, or already knew each other. Anyway, it's so weird how they split them up. It's just like in Jurassic Park 3, when they split up Sam Neill's character and Laura Dern's character, because I don't know why. It doesn't make any sense anyway. And it's like, it's so dumb. I hate it when movies do that. Didn't that happen in Ghostbusters 2 as well? Didn't Peter Venkman and Dana Barrett, like, break up after Ghostbusters 1? It's just like, what are you doing? Like, who wants to see that? Like, we want to see the characters together. That's what makes them extra fun. And watching them get together and interact with each other and learn what they like and don't like about each other and then ending up, you know, as a unit, it's so much more fun than, like, watching Bryce Dallas Howard drive up to Chris Pratt, who's building a house, and being like, I need your help. Let's go get a beer. That'll convince you. Yeah, because you like beer. That's your character. And then he's like there, and it's so weird. There was one line that was actually that's where the lines I did like, thinking about that scene where they're in the bar. It's that thing where he says, like, you should write fortune cookies or something. I was like, yeah, it's kind of funny because he's kind of sassy to her and in general, and you know, she's her intelligent but prim and proper type of person, and so watching him say something to her, like, it fit the character, say something like, wow, you should write fortune cookies. It's a sarcastic thing that his character would say to her, and it's very believable. I think that was the only time in the whole movie I laughed, and that's pretty sad considering that was before we even got to that lame character who was like the technology guy who tried to be so funny. And it wasn't even the actor's fault. I guess I should point that out. Whatever actor, he looked like the guy who did Micah from Heroes. Remember Heroes from like 12 years ago? There's the kid Micah. He kind of looks like him, but I don't think it was. Anyway, it's not his fault. He's a decent actor based on what was given to him, but what was given to him was just pretty lame one-liners that didn't work at all. Especially when they're in, that situation. He and Bryce Dallas Howard are still in that, like, bunker unit thing, and then the lava's starting to flow down and the dinosaur gets in there, and they were still trying to be funny. And I'm like, how have these characters not started to run away 5 minutes ago as soon as they heard the dinosaur coming and the lava flowing down? I will say one really cool visual shot was when they had the lava. I think it was like lava was just coming down from the ceiling or something within that little tunnel tube thing. And every time it did, you get a little bit of light, because, lava is fire, and fire equals light, I guess. And there was, like, the dinosaur that was getting closer. It was a cool visual. So, again, it's like the filmmakers knew how to do good movies. They knew how to make movies well, but they just didn't for a lot of it. Especially the characters. Oh my gosh, the characters. So let me talk about that now, because I'm in the spoiler section, and I can. Not a single character changes in this whole dang movie, except for maybe Bryce Dallas Howard's character, because she's like, we gotta save the dinosaurs. This is gonna be really important. We gotta do this and get some political figures to back us up, which is fair. That's a great thing for her character to want and to do. I'm okay with that. And by the end of the movie, she has that decision to make of, am I going to let these dinosaurs free and out into the open world and just, wreak havoc on the entire Earth, or am I going to keep them contained in here where they're about to die in minutes? And we had a cool character moment where she had to make that decision, and wow, it's like there's a character that actually has some character in her that changes and it matters. Every other character is exactly the same as they were at the end as they were at the beginning. I guess you could almost say that the little girl, whatever her name was, you could almost say her character changes a little bit because she lets them free, but we don't know anything about her anyway, and especially because they try to imply something super deep and important or special or unique. I don't even know what they were going for when they were like, oh, well, this girl's because, well, what they did is they had her grandfather, who was a decent character, and he was talking to her, and she's like, I want to know who my dad is or something, and she's going to, like, look at that picture, and when they said that, her mom, it was her mom, I think, and he was like, well, your mom was one of the first people to go to Jurassic Park, and I'm like, okay, is it that girl Lex from the first movie? Like, that'd be okay, I guess. I mean, it make just like Jeff Goldblum would be, a public figure there. It might make sense for the daughter of the girl who was originally there to be hanging around some guy who knew whatever that guy, the older guy in the first one, David Attenborough's character. So it would almost make sense. And she had like a picture she was about to look at, but they like hid the picture. So they're teasing the audience and playing with the audience, which is fine, I guess. But when they finally show the picture, I was just like, wait, so what? And they had this explanation of like, well, you're a clone, or you're a human created from human. And it's just like, I don't get what they were trying to do. It made no sense at all, did not fit in the story. And now we have to have like this human cloning thing going on in Jurassic Park. Whatever happened to the first movie, where it was simple, straightforward, awesome, really good characters, really good character interactions, really good commentary on humanity, really good commentary on humanity versus dinosaurs and natural selection? It doesn't have to be that much more complicated. And yeah, it's fair. We're four movies in now, later than the first one, and you can change it up a little bit, but like this human cloning thing added in at like 3/4 through the movie, having no bearing on anything else happening, just for the sake of making the audience trying to get the audience to be like, whoa, she's a clone. Wow. What does that mean? Why? Or who cares? It's just who cares? I don't get it. I don't buy into that at all. Just because, I mean, if there's a movie about human cloning, great. Like, let's have a movie about that. But in Jurassic Park, just stop. And again, we're so far into the movie. It's gone on so long already. We've had a complete change of setting from the island to, like, this mansion where we're in for, like, half the movie and half the movie. It just... It blows me away how they thought that was a good idea. I mean, maybe someone else sees the complete geniusness of it and I'm completely missing it, but I really just don't get it. I'm pretty shocked that the creators of this movie were like, oh yeah, we need to have a young girl character. She needs to be related to someone who went to the original Jurassic Park, which is unclear to me now, even though I thought they were clearing it up. And she's got to be a clone person, because that's what we do in Jurassic Park now. I just don't get it. um, Other things I don't get. Here's another big thing, and again, it's at the near the end of the movie, and I'm already really frustrated with it. And you have Chris Pratt's character and Bryce Dallas Howard. They kind of sneak it into the mansion, and they even have that moment. They even say this out loud. They're like, "Oh, we could just turn off here and go to the city and get the cops and pull them over here." And I'm like, "That's a darn good idea." It'd be kind of lame to end the movie by like having a big police raid on all these rich people from different countries buying or bidding on dinosaurs or something. It's good that they didn't actually get to do that, but then later when they're in the mansion, they actually break out of their cell. It was kind of okay the way they use that dinosaur. You know, he has a strong skull, so he's able to bust through the wall and get them out of there. I was actually feeling kind of bad for it because I'm like, I mean, doesn't that hurt after a while? And there was one scene where it just, you know, it popped up again after a while and it banged into a pole and fell down, and the audience laughed. I'm like, dude, that's mean. The poor thing just hit a pole and fell down and hurt itself. And you guys are laughing at this kind of slapstick humor in a Jurassic Park 5 movie where, like, the tone at this point is quite serious. I don't know. I didn't get it. Anyway, so they break out and they're sneaking around the mansion and they have the girl with them. They've kind of united with the girl. And they're kind of just trying to figure out, like, what can we do? And I'm like, call police, find a phone. Do you think there'd be at least 20 phones in a house or a mansion that big? I'm sure the girl knows where one was. And after you even said, we should get the police up here, don't you think you'd want to call them and be like, yeah, I got the bust of the century. People are freaking buying dinosaurs over here. You might want to show up and do something about it. Why wouldn't they do that? It makes no sense when they had the chance, and then of course they lose the chance because they get found or caught or whatever, and dinosaurs are running amok. They could have kind of avoided a lot of this and gotten the bad people, you know, in custody or whatever. It falls apart. It doesn't really add up. And yeah, I know, it's not going to be as exciting as watching dinosaurs run around in a mansion and try to eat people, but at least it'd be logical. And I mean, the whole big sequence at the end there just went on so long. I mean, how many scenes, after 4 movies already too, how many scenes can we have in a mansion especially, of people running away from dinosaurs and having to use cleverness to get away from dinosaurs? It's just like, it's so much, and it goes on so long. I mean, think about how we've already been through an entire sequence of they establish where the characters are again, they establish they want to save the dinosaurs, they establish who's going to pay for all this, they establish how they're going to get to the island, they get to the island, they establish that the military mercenary people are like really evil, and the guy who paid them is really evil, and they need to get off the island, and then they have the whole sequence of getting off the island and on the boat. I mean, we had all these things already, and that could fill a movie right there. I mean, just getting off the island, that could have been an end. I'm not saying it should have been, but that could have been an end to a dinosaur movie like this. And then they keep going, and they're in the mansion, and they're establishing that the guy who's paying for everything is really evil, and the older guy, you know, he kills him or whatever, and the daughter's like, oh my gosh, I'm a clone or something. And then they have, like, you know, we're gonna bid on these dinosaurs. They have that guy from Doctor Who. I mean, that's the only thing I know him from, but there's that one guy who's in that one episode of Doctor Who. It's obvious, I know. He's the guy who was, like, demanding that the dinosaurs be there in, like, 20 minutes or something. Or it was some ridiculously low amount of time where I'm like, this guy, so there's the guy who owns the mansion. He's the one who ends up, you know, smothering the older guy, and he kind of knows the little girl. He's the one paying for it all, and he's trying to convince this other guy, the guy who's in that one episode of Doctor Who, that, like, he needs, like, some number of hours left to get the dinosaurs to them. And I'm like, well, can't you give the guy some credit? He's literally transporting 12 or whatever, 21 different species of dinosaurs from this island all the way to this mansion in the middle of the woods near a city. Can't you give the guy more than 20 minutes? I mean, they're trying to establish that the guy from Doctor Who, his character, has no patience and he wants the dinosaurs now. But it's like so forced and unbelievable. And at this point, again, after all this stuff, it's just like, what is going on? And how is this what we have in this movie? How did it come to this? It doesn't sit well with me. I really can't figure out how this movie came to be the way it is. So you have all that going on. I mean, again, it's all these things, and then so after all that, you still have more dinosaur chases. You have Bryce Dallas Howard and Chris Pratt and the little girl there. I mean, it's like 20 minutes long. They're running around the mansion, sneaking around, trying to get away from the big dinosaur thing. The girl eventually goes to her room, which is fair, and like hides under the covers. Like I guess they're trying to be like, yeah, because kids do that, and it's like I guess, yeah. And so then we have this dinosaur crashing around the place, and it's been pointed out as it was the Indoraptor. That's what they called it. It's been pointed out how it's very intelligent or something, but they didn't really establish like why it would just go after one specific girl or person or whatever. So the fact that it goes up to the roof and it's like oh hey, there's a window right there with a handle, and it just kind of goes and pushes the handle down and opens like the window door thing just to get into her room. When did it become sneaky Indoraptor all of a sudden, who like slithers around and opens doors just to get to this one girl who's under her bed that he probably didn't know was there in the first place? It doesn't make any sense. And yeah, they're trying to make it dramatic because if someone's trying to get the little girl, then it's going to be more dramatic, but it just does not add up. Maybe they're trying to make a reference to the first movie when Laura Dern's character is like, well, unless they figure out how to open doors, and then the raptor like opens doors in the next shot. Ha ha, we referenced that. Is that really worth doing this unbelievable thing in this new movie? I guess they thought so. I feel like I'm ranting. I was going to say some positive things about the movie, and I've done nothing but just rant and rant and rant about how not great I find it. A couple more things that come to mind, though, when I think about it are the fact that Bryce Dallas Howard's character was so willing to work for this guy who, he's like, I'm going to pay for all these dinosaurs to be relocated to this cool island thing. It's like a natural sanctuary. They have food and water, and they can't get out. And she was like, oh, great. Sounds good to me. And I was like, hang on. Aren't there flying dinosaurs? Aren't there swimming dinosaurs? Aren't there dinosaurs that will hurt each other, there were like so many issues and details that could have been brought up, especially by an expert. You think if anybody in the world would want to say, okay, so if we have this island sanctuary, we need the right kind of foliage, we need the right kind of vegetation, we need the right kind of this and that and this and that and this. She would make it Bryce Dallas Howard's character, right? She should be the ultimate person to be like, okay, I see what you're talking about, but do you have this? Do you do this? And she just bought right into it, and I didn't even buy into it at that point. I was like, how do you put, I forgot that number, but it was 12 or 21 or some number of species of dinosaurs. I was like, how do you put that many dinosaurs on some island and just assume it's all going to be okay? It just seems so weird. So I was surprised her character just bought into that, and then of course he's tricking her anyway, so it didn't matter. But it was so weird to me, because if someone like me, I'm just a random like movie lover who doesn't know anything about dinosaurs, if someone could just be like, wait, doesn't that not make much sense, and have the ultimate expert character be like, this makes a lot of sense, it kind of just pulls you out of the movie, and it's very weird. Another thing that kept pulling me out of the movie is this girl, I don't even know her name, but the female character who was she was the one at the beginning of the movie who's in Bryce Dallas Howard's character's dinosaur organization thing where they're trying to promote the welfare of dinosaurs. And she ends up coming with them, and she's like the biological, anatomical person. She's able to like remove a bullet from a dinosaur, and she knows what kind of blood it needs, and like transfusion and this and that. I'm like, dang. She even says in the movie, I've never done this before, and I've never even seen I think she says that, I've never even seen a real dinosaur. How the heck is she able to do all that? Again, I'm not an expert on anything like that, so maybe it makes sense for someone who's a biological genius over here to be over here with dinosaurs and make that work. I just couldn't buy into it, though. Even though I did like her character because of her sass and her spunk, like that was okay. Gosh, this movie's weird. Another scene that just confuses me. Well, sort of. It was a decently good scene, but just the way they did it was so odd. It's when the mercenary people and Chris Pratt's character and the other girl, whatever her name is, they kind of go, they find Blue the raptor. And they're like, hey, Blue, come on, let's go back. And then they eventually reveal at that point that the mercenary people are there with malicious intentions. They're not really there to help the dinosaurs or help the humans in that case. They're just there to get a paycheck by delivering a bunch of dinosaurs to evil suit guy. And so they tranquilize Chris Pratt's character. He's on the ground. They leave him, right? So here's a scene where it's a very interesting mix, because he wakes up or something, and they have great acting at this point from Chris Pratt, where he's trying to wake up and get his muscle movements back and kind of trying to move again. And then all of a sudden they just cut to lava coming at him, and they didn't even have him and the lava in the same shot at first. Like the very first thing we see of the lava in that setting is just this shot of lava coming somewhere, and he starts like, he's like, oh gosh, I gotta move now, but he's of course tranquilized, and they have the great acting where he has to like squirm and slither himself away with like only one limb or two limbs or whatever. It's funny, like I get what they're going for, and it's good acting, and it's a cool setup, but it's like, wait, what? There's lava coming at him all of a sudden? Like, we didn't know that. Like, we as a viewer didn't know, like, we didn't know what the stakes were at that point because they didn't show us. They just showed us Chris Pratt, and they cut to lava coming at him, and then a couple cuts later, it's like, yeah, he's, there's lava coming at him, and he has to squirm away. But it was such an odd setup, and it didn't give us the suspense or the drama or the tension that they wanted us to have, just because they either forgot or didn't realize that we needed to know what was going on fully. Like, we didn't fully know what was going on. We saw him, we saw lava, and we saw him react to lava, and it's like, oh, okay, it's just a few seconds late, but it just still doesn't work. Now, they established already that lava was coming out of the volcano. I think in, like, the bunker thing, they had Bryce Dallas Howard's character and, technology, not funny guy, he was there too. It's been a while since I've seen the movie at this point, but I think they already showed this, where they have them in the bunker thing, and like, the computers start losing power, and a door, closes itself for safety reasons, and lava starts seeping in, or whatever. Like, you have a couple things where it's like, oh, there's reasons why we know the characters are in danger now, and we as the viewer can appreciate that and continue watching the scene, knowing and feeling the tension. And so you have that already, but then when you have Chris Pratt just laying there on the grass, and he's like, oh, and then lava's coming, it's like, oh, that didn't really establish itself at all, but okay, here we are. It's I guess, sloppy, I guess you could say. I was almost going to say it's like a mistake that the creators made, but it's probably, I mean, they intended it to be that way. They spent millions of dollars and hours trying to make this movie what it was. So, I guess just sloppy. It's a lot of weird sloppiness like that. Throughout the whole movie, too, just a lot of weird things that don't perfectly add up, don't make sense why they're doing it the way they're doing it, goes on way too long. They attempt so much to make, dinosaur chases person or group of people run away, and it's scary, and it's just it's so desperate for tension and suspense and drama that it loses a lot of it because we get so much, and a lot of it is kind of repetitive. I mean, how long was that sequence when they're in the mansion with the girl and running away from the dinosaur, the Indoraptor? It's a pretty long sequence, and especially when they end up, on the top of the roof of the greenhouse, or it looks like a greenhouse, but I guess it's like the museum part. I was just like, come on, this is so dramatic. They're on the, the roof where it kind of has this triangle shape, and they're on the top of it, and it's like, oh no, there's nowhere to go, and it's like so overblown. And I was surprised by that scene, how when the Indoraptor fell down, I thought Blue was going to fall with it, and it was going to be like they both die, like the one that we really needed to see die, or that the characters needed to see die so they knew it wouldn't hurt anybody else. That one was going to die, but I thought also Blue was going to go down and hit a spike too, and also die. So it's this big mixture of like sadness. I mean, we're glad that this is ending now, the violence is ending, but also Blue's life is ending too, or something like that. It could have been kind of cool in that sense. You could have seen some emotion in the characters. That right there could have actually like warranted or yielded some emotion out of Chris Pratt's character, and maybe even the other characters too. And it didn't, and that was okay that they didn't do that. I kind of like the ending scene with Blue, the way he's talking to her and be like, hey, you can come with us or something like that. Like, let's stay together. You're my friend / pet / beta, I'm your alpha, or whatever the heck that means. And she kind of looks at him, but then just, runs away. That was a fair scene, because for a second there, we as a viewer thought, like, what kind of connection do they really have here? Have they really figured each other out? Does he really understand her? Does she really understand him? That type of thing. It was okay. It was like a little blip of, oh, character right there. I see some character going on here, and some interaction between characters, and then she ran away. So, that was fair. That's kind of how I felt by the end of the movie. Just run away. Just stop. End. Running away from it. That's the best I could do. I think I should stop talking about this movie because I feel like someone out there is going to say that it's such a great movie and I'm so wrong. I'm ready for it, though. If you want me to address something further, if you think I was totally wrong about something, or if you thought I was totally right about something, feel free to make some comments, positive or negative. Feel free to send some messages. Feel free to email contactjustafan@gmail.com. I see all those things. I'm ready for the comments, for the messages, for the questions. questions, for the arguments. I don't like to argue, but I do like to discuss. So feel free to send those things, agree, disagree. I'll be glad to see them. And thank you for watching my review of Jurassic Park 5. I'm having a blast making reviews for movies, and I hope it's been just as much fun for my viewers as it has been for me. If you haven't considered subscribing to the channel, I hope you would, because subscribers are a great thing to have, and it would make me feel good just to know that there's that many more people who want to see me talk about movies. That's just a great thought, a great feeling. A lot more movies are coming up here soon. I have some more pull from a hat things, so this wasn't one of them, but we've been pulling movies from the hat recently. We have a few more, so one of those will be coming out soon. We already talked about Men in Black. Men in Black. What was the second one? The Faculty. We talked about Men in Black, The Faculty. The recent one was Cool Runnings. And then we have a few more movies we'll pull from there. I have another movie to do here soon, and then another movie, a couple of horror movies to talk about. So it's all going to be going great. Feel free to subscribe. I'll stop talking now because this has gone on so long, just like a Jurassic World movie that just came out.